I'm Gary North, and I am a veteran of the university wars of the 1960s. Today I'm going to be interviewing Bradley Fish, who went through a very different system at a very reduced rate in the period from about 2005 onward. This very different approach, I think, will introduce to you alternatives which you have not even begun to think about. And in terms of the money savings, it really is astounding. So let's begin. Bradley, you began your collegiate work at what age?
I was 14 when I took my first CLEP test.
And CLEP stands for, what is it?
CLEP is the College Level Examination Program. So it's a series of tests where you can study for it and take the test and earn the credit without actually being in the classroom to earn your college credits.
So it would be called today distance learning?
Yes, or a credit by examination type program.
Under this system, you're able to go at pretty much your own pace, is that correct?
Absolutely. That's one of the beauties of the system, is whether you are excelling in a particular area of study or whether you have trouble with one, you can take the entire class at your own pace, and it allows you a lot of flexibility in the schedule. You
went through how many exams over the whole period?
I went through about 30 exams to earn 3/4 of my degree.
And where did you get the rest of it?
The rest of it I did with online classes through Thomas Edison State College.
And that's out of New Jersey?
Yes, they're out in New Trenton.
So for your first 2 years, sometimes called lower division, you did it entirely by CLEP exams?
That's correct, I did.
What approximately was the cost of those exams?
Well, each exam is only $80, and my study materials were maybe between $20 and $30 a pop, so around $100 for every 3 credits worth of college credit.
Now, in an academic setting in a standard campus, to buy one textbook
Yes.
for one class for 2 semesters will run anywhere from $120 to $150 just for the textbook.
Yes.
So you basically are able to take the entire exam, no room, no board, no tuition, and for less than it costs to buy one college textbook for that class.
Exactly, that's right. Because the college textbook that they use in that class is the latest edition with all of the most recent updates. The previous edition is generally at least half the price, if not even less, because it's not the current edition. So when you buy that one previous edition, you can get it for a great discount and still get all the material you need.
Where did you buy yours?
I bought them at the used bookstore at my local college campus.
Would Amazon sell them?
Yes, I also got a couple off of Amazon or eBay type sites.
So in cutting the cost down to basically the cost of the examination itself, you were able to save in round numbers how much, say, for your first 2 years, what would be normally called a community college degree or associate's degree. You then paid, and again, this was several years ago, but somewhere under $2,000.
That's right, yes. For the test that I took, it came out to about $2,000 or $3,000 for all the tests, and that was 3 years worth of college, which on average runs between $8,000 and $10,000 at a community college.
And if you're at a 4-year state university, would be at least double that.
At least 20 grand a year.
And a year. And if you were at a private university, that would probably be a minimum of $25,000 to $30,000.
Yes, definitely.
Times at least 2.
Times at least 2 years, and then 4 if you're going to finish the degree or beyond.
How long did it take you to get through the whole program?
The whole program from the time I started at 14 till I graduated the month before I turned 18, so it was 4 years.
I have read that in recent years it is taking 5 years for the typical college program. Student enters the freshman year.
Yes.
He cannot get all of his prerequisites, classes fill up, other drawbacks, things get in the way,
Exactly.
so that under half of all freshmen who enter college are able to earn their bachelor's degree in 4 years.
Yes. It's becoming a major problem. There's, like you said, there's so many reasons why just even one class could get pushed. Or maybe the student has to work part-time while they're in college. There are so many different reasons why, but students are now taking 5 up to 6 years to graduate with a simpler bachelor's degree.
Of the freshmen who begin at the present rate, something in the range of 50% of those students either drop out voluntarily or flunk out.
Yes.
So a parent may begin paying for the freshman year, sophomore year, but at some point during the collegiate program,
Mm-hmm.
it's a 50-50 shot that the student will not finish.
Yes.
And there is no bronze medal. You don't get any more money for almost having finished college than you would for just finishing high school and getting right into the workforce.
Absolutely. You get the full paper or none at all.
Did you work part-time?
Yes, I did. I worked some while I was in college. I also was only enrolled for 1 year beyond high school, so it didn't give me as much opportunity to work during college, but I did some.
You did the college work simultaneously with the high school work, is that correct?
That's correct.
So it was a dual credit system.
Exactly.
How common is this?
Among homeschool circles, of which I was homeschooled my entire academic career, it is a fairly common thing to begin at least some of your college courses early. And I've noticed that there are a number of colleges in my area, Metro Atlanta, that have begun offering college credit as a dual enrollment program. So you can finish your high school while you're enrolled for the first year or even sometimes 2 years of college.
Different states have different rules.
Sure.
In probably the best program available, that in Washington State, the student can enter the community college physically, walk in the door at the beginning of his junior year, and he will graduate when his peers are going out as high school graduates. He finishes his junior college degree and gets his associate's degree.
That's right.
So that takes 2 years off of the time to get his college degree, presumably, and he pays nothing for the junior college. It's part of the overall program. So
Yes.
instead of going to high school and getting a degree, you get a high school degree and an AA degree at
The equivalent
same
of an
time
associate's degree.
for the same money,
That's right.
which I've said is the best possible way to drop out of high school in America. It's an efficient way to do this. Now, most states don't allow this. Some schools will only allow you 6 units, 7, maybe 8 units of credit. They won't let you take a full load. It depends on the state, but that's fairly common. You, however, with the CLEP system, can take as heavy a load as you want.
That's right. There are some schools that will allow you to take up to 117 credits through CLEPs or other outside the school campus programs. They do require, almost across the board, all schools require at least one class taken so that you can get a GPA from the school and they have a reason to issue you a diploma.
One class.
You could get it down to just one class.
So you're paying your college for that one class. The rest is quizzed out. Now, some exams may be more expensive, depends on where the school is, who's administering the exam. But generally, as of 2012, it is possible to get your college degree this way for a total expenditure of $15,000 or less. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. I got mine for less than 15 grand.
And you did that, of course, a little bit early. So
Yes.
possibly prices were slightly lower, but not probably significantly lower, at least in terms of CLEP exams and other kinds of exams. This presumably does not work if you want to get a degree in nuclear physics or chemistry, or maybe chemical engineering.
That's right.
But you could get half of your credits that way through the general education courses that are normally required during the first 2 years. Those you could use CLEPs to quiz out of.
Absolutely, yes. They're the general requirements that everybody's going to have: basic math and writing. And if you take those and apply them through the CLEP program, apply them to a local community college, it's very easy to transfer into a big program.
So that would save minimally 40% of a college degree.
Yes.
That's assuming you went for the final 2 years, where you had a program that would have laboratories and other sophisticated equipment that you had access to as part of the degree program.
Exactly. Some degrees require that.
But most liberal arts degrees do not require that.
No.
So your standard BA degree can be taken without going onto the campus physically.
That's correct. In the 4 years that I took college courses, I earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Management without ever going on to a college campus for the purpose of taking a course.
And you did that in 4 years.
Yes, I did.
And completed the work by age 17.
That's right.
Now that saved you, compared to your peers, at least 4 years and maybe 5 in terms of being able to get into the labor force.
Yes.
Why do you think it is that most students don't do this?
I think there's a couple of reasons. One of those is it's very different and unheard of. In the mainstream public school, there's a small group that may have heard of these type of approaches, but the standard approach is you take 4 years to graduate from high school, you take at least 4 years to go through college, you get a better earning potential if you go through college and complete your degree, and their parents did it that way. So that's how they expect to go through life and finish college.
This is beginning to change, at least at the edges, because of the enormous cost now of going
Yes.
to college. People are figuring out that there may be better ways to do it. Now, for example, the community college system was quite prominent when I was in school, and I was in California, so it was somewhat ahead of the pack. The community colleges fed into either the state college system or the University of California system, and that was a fairly common way of getting your degree.
Yes.
The community college had a stigma attached to it 40 years ago. It was assumed that the better students would go off to a 4-year school from the beginning. Now, in my own experience, I found that did push me a little harder. There's no doubt that the students I competed against as an undergraduate for the first 2 years were better students
Yes.
than I would have found in a community college, and I'm sure that's still true. However, if a student is self-motivated, and if the goal is simply to get through the general ed courses as
Yes.
fast as possible, because the student's not going to major in those fields,
Sure.
then what's the difference?
There really isn't a difference. There's basically one standard of accreditation across the entire college level. And community colleges, technical colleges, advanced medical colleges, they're all rated by the same accreditation group. And if they have met that accreditation level, then basically what that says is that the class level, the education level at a community college is on par with the rest of those schools.
You usually think of the Ivy League schools as being a far cut above. The question then is, of course, are they 14 to 15 times better because they're 14 to 15 times more expensive?
Exactly.
If you make personal contacts, and those contacts happen to go into New York banking or some equivalent, that might be an advantage. I have often said that if you're going to spend your money, spend the money on the master's degree or the MBA degree at a better school. Save the money that you would have spent at the 4-year level and go
Yes.
to a better institution to get your master's degree.
Exactly, and that's a great argument because when you put your degree on your resume, the boss is only going to look at the most recent degree and where you got that from. So if you got your MBA from an impressive Ivy League school or even just a big college in your state, that may be more impressive than some of the online schools that don't have as wide a reputation. And putting your money in the master's degree may be worth it at that point.
And certainly at that point, even if it turns out that you don't complete the program, you at least have the bachelor's degree and you've spent the money where you wanted to spend the money, which was
That's
to
right.
get the initial degree. Jobs are tough to get these days. It's been a recession period for several years. For collegiate graduates, other than the ones in chemical engineering or something of that nature, jobs have been fairly scarce. And it's tough to get them. There are a lot of applicants. From the point of view of a businessman, is there any advantage that you can see of a student who's gone to a four-year institution versus the way that you've done it, also a four-year institution, but not a bricks and mortar institution? Is there any fundamental difference in terms of how it would be perceived? In terms of the accreditation, it's the same.
Yes.
The only question then is, does a businessman want to hire somebody who has done it conventionally, or is the businessman maybe interested in somebody who has cut some corners financially and gotten through quicker?
Well, let's make a scenario here. Let's compare, two students. On the one hand, there's the student who didn't attend the normal college, and when he goes into interview for the same job as the second student, the boss, and I've gotten this from personal experience, will look at that resume and say, interesting, you've pursued a different approach. Tell me more about it, because most of the time they haven't heard of this approach. And I found that by and large, most employers are interested in someone who's been self-motivated and disciplined enough to pursue a non-traditional course. They've taken that extra step, and small businessmen are looking for people that are adventurous, willing to take the risks and invest in a company. So they're probably looking for someone of that type. If you're looking to join the standard business model and just go up, work your way up through a big corporation, it may not make as much of a difference.
Small businessmen would probably like to figure out a way to save $100,000 per child if he's got kids going into a collegiate environment. I think most of them would see that would be a real advantage. Now, in terms, however, of what you've been able to do, you were able to work during this period as a dual credit student.
Yes.
You were not in an area where there was a university nearby.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of getting a job part-time during the collegiate year, if there is a campus of 25,000 students nearby versus no campus nearby, do you think you have an advantage in getting a part-time job in the town where there's no campus?
It makes a tremendous difference. I have a lot of friends that have pursued the traditional approach to college, and when they go off to school, they come home on the holidays or Christmas break and tell me that they have a horrible time trying to find a job, because as freshmen or as sophomores trying to look for a job in the area, the market's diluted by all of the other freshmen and sophomores at the same college. They're also looking for a part-time job to help them get through college. Whereas if you do it my way and pursue a degree near your home, you can find somebody local in your hometown where the market isn't overflowing with job applicants. Another reason that it's a big deal is at those bigger school towns, there's generally a market for the master's degree students or upper level students, because who would want to hire the first year freshmen when you could get someone that's close to earning a degree in your field or that's already finished it and working on their master's?
And you might, as a businessman, hire that student who has a master's degree.
Absolutely.
Because you've had him working for you, you see his work habits, you have some sense of what he can do. He may be ready to enter the job market within a year.
A part-time job can be one of the best interviews.
In terms of the workload of doing both, the CLEP approach and then other forms of distance learning in upper division, did you find that your hours spent working interfered in any serious way with your study schedule?
No, I was always careful to keep those separate. And I've been blessed with employers that were generally pretty flexible. I would always put in the same number of hours, but if the schedule had to change to accommodate a test, I found that they were generally willing to work around that.
How many places can you attend where you can take those exams? Do they have some sort of local screening? Who administers these exams to make certain that they're taken fairly and there's no cheating?
Yes. The only requirement for taking the CLEP tests is that there is a proctor at the exam site while you're taking it. There are some public libraries that have registered proctors where you could even take the test at a public library. But by and large, it's very easy to get into a community college campus or even a big school and just go on campus there, take your test. The only thing they're going to charge you is the proctor fee for the time that you spent sitting at the computer taking that test.
How often are these CLEP exams given?
They're available year-round, day in, day out. There's no set schedule on when you need to take them. That's a big difference to the AP program that a lot of high school students go through. APs are only given once a year. You have to study for them for 2 semesters and take them in May. With a CLEP, you get the same level of credit. You can study for as long or as short as you want, and you can take the test at any time.
There was another variety of exam in addition to the CLEPs and the advanced placement. What was that system?
The system was originally set up as the Dantes system. It's a system of credit by examination used by the military, and it enabled deployed military personnel to be able to take a test while they were out in the field or on base without access to a normal college. They could study, take the test, and get their credits and continue with their ongoing education. The military has released those exams in the DSST program, the Dantes Standardized Subject Testing Program. So now those tests that were used in the Dantes system are now open to the public and can be used as DSST credit programs.
And these have a greater number of courses compared to CLEP?
There's a little bit wider variety, and there's also a greater number of upper level degree opportunities.
So that saves money on your upper division work.
Yes, it does.
Did you take some of those?
Yes, I did. And I found them to be a little bit more difficult, but roughly on par with the rest of the tests.
So overall, you got your degree for actually well under $15,000.
Yes.
You were able to finance most of it yourself. You got it in 4 years. You had the degree in hand and issued on your 18th birthday.
Yes.
And you were able to get steady work during the entire period because you weren't anywhere near a large campus.
That's right.
What downside do you see with a program like this? Has there been any issue raised that would indicate to you that if you had gone to the local 4-year state university, going through the standard courses, paying $150 a textbook and so forth, is there any liability that you think you're laboring under compared to going through a normal program?
I think the biggest pitfall, I guess, would be people that get hung up on the social aspect of college. If you're going off to college to have a great time, hang out with all these new friends that you're going to meet, and basically extend the high school party for 4 more years, then no, my program doesn't offer you anything. And if that's the case, then you are better off spending $100,000 and going to college for 4 years. But look down the road, there's really no good reason to spend those 4 years or $100,000 on that 4-year party when you'd be better off saving the money or getting a part-time job and earning the degree in a quicker, more economical way.
And maybe faster. I mean,
Yes.
You say quicker in terms of doing it in 4 years, but you in fact did the 4 years beginning at 14, so it's not just quicker. It's
Yes.
a completely different approach to education.
It is. It's a different
not that you
mindset.
get out at 20 instead of 21. It's that you get out at 18 instead of 21.
Instead of graduating at 18 with a high school diploma ready to hit the job force, you could have a bachelor's degree and be ready to really go into the market.
Do you help people with these programs?
Yes. I've got a number of friends that are looking into this program. They've come back from school and said, okay, it was more expensive or more time consuming, more difficult than I thought. Show me how you did this. And absolutely, there's so many ways that they can be helped.
You didn't get any hand-holding. Some people may need some form of hand-holding or guidance, some sort of, you might call a coaching system or a mentoring program. You do some of that by website and by forums.
That's right.
Students asking questions, and then what do I take, what do I look at? You've even done some simple guidebooks on how to pass certain exams.
That's right. Yes, study guide type stuff. The discussion forums is probably one of the best ways because it allows for interaction with not only me. I've taken some tests, but not all of the tests available. But it allows interaction with other students who may have taken other tests, had different experiences, and can give their feedback as well.
So there is a possibility that it wouldn't be simply a lone wolf situation for a student.
Absolutely. As more and more colleges offer online degree programs and as more students become aware of them, there's a growing movement going towards the online degree program.
Well, I appreciate the time. I hope people will take advantage of the opportunity.
Sounds good. Thank you.